Good evening and welcome to the Nuts and Bolts Show. I'm Don.
And I'm Sean. On the show, Don's going to take the lead on a tribute to an idol of his, Rush Limbaugh.
And I want to thank you for allowing me to have some time to talk about what you said is an idol to me. Definitely somebody who I have a lot of respect for and want to talk about just a little bit. And that's obviously Rush Limbaugh, who passed away a little over a week ago now. And if you remember a show, I think it was our first show, I think it was our first show where I talked about how I got into politics, and I wasn't at all into politics. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know if I was a Democrat or Republican, but after 9/11, that changed my mindset, and I felt that it was important to know what was going on. And Rush Limbaugh was one of the first shows that I found in that time frame, along with some other ones, but he definitely stood out to me. And somebody who I listened to all the way to the very end. Just a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago was Rush's last show. And it is a conservative show. There's no hiding that. He's a red-blooded American conservative, the voice of the Republican Party, many people will say. And he passed away at age 70 with a year battle of lung cancer. And we have a couple different videos that we wanted to show, and the first one is a man by the name of James Golden. Now, James Golden, for Rush fans, we all know him as Bo Snerdley, and it's a longtime producer of the Rush Limbaugh show and a good friend of Rush. He was on Fox with Sean Hannity, and his message I thought was very touching. So let's play that.
We can't wrap our arms around this. We can't wrap our brains and our hearts around it, that our beloved Rush has returned his talent to God. And we are so thankful for him. You know, Rush is, to me, a second-generation founding father. This went beyond radio. This went beyond politics. What Rush did for America, one man changed so many trajectories in this country. The number of print conservative publications, very few today. It's a flourishing market. There was no Fox TV. There was nowhere on TV that you could get conservative ideology, that you could get the values that represent what most Americans believe until Rush. He changed the media. He changed the landscape. Rush Limbaugh's radio show grew for over 30 years. This is unheard of. And our audience, from small children all the way up through the senior of senior citizens. And beyond all of those accomplishments, Rush Limbaugh was one of the finest human beings that you would ever want to meet. A generous, wonderful, beautiful spirit, humble, a gentleman, always, never failed to thank people for the smallest service that they could do to him, never looked down on people. It burns me to my soul when people sully his reputation with falsehoods, calling him a racist. This man was just an incredible phenomenon. And we love you, Rush. God bless you. And thank you, Sean, for having me with you to talk about Rush.
Again, that's Bo Snerdley, and that's courtesy of Fox News and the Sean Hannity program. You can see the emotion in his face. You know, a guy obviously who had great respect for Rush Limbaugh. And it's, you know what, Sean, I've been at funerals. Obviously, you know, me being the age that I am, I've been to more, as it seems to increase the older you get, the more funerals you attend. And I'd never met Rush Limbaugh, but I've found myself more than once kind of tearing up, listening to different things on the radio or different things on YouTube. And I started really wondering, like, why is that? I mean, he's a great radio host. He's a great commentator. He's got great conservative values, but I never met him. So why was I so emotional? It's just, you get attached to somebody. And I mentioned to you, whether on the phone or something, like Rush kind of was like a father figure. Many people looked at him as like a teacher. He was teaching whatever it was, whether it was the Constitution or what it meant to be a conservative. But many times I would, something would happen in the political arena and I would get fired up. And the first person, one of the first people I would think about would be Rush and what is his take on that particular topic. And many, many times he would calm people down. And it would happen where people would call his show and say, I can't take this anymore. I'm leaving the country or whatever it was. And Rush had a way of bringing people back in. And this next video is pretty much what Rush would say. People would ask him, is it time to go? Is it time to run? And he would say, I'll be the first one to tell you when that is. And this happens to be one of his, not his final show, but one of his last few shows where he repeated that message. And the message is about America and how great America is. Go ahead and play that second video.
You told us when it's going to be time to panic. Well, is it time to panic? Well, let me just tell you, folks, it's never going to be time to panic because we're never going to give up. We're not going to give up on America. I'm not. I don't think most of you are either. And while we have that attitude of not giving up, we are constantly going to be searching, strategizing, coming up with ways to prevail. We've got the basics. We have millions and millions of Americans that are fed up, can't wait to do something about it. There will be a series of ideas that people come up with based on dealing with the fraud that we know we have to deal with. But America's worth it. America is worth fighting for. America's worth not giving up.
That particular clip is courtesy of the EIB network and the Rush Limbaugh show. And, you know, not to redo what he said, but it's never time to give up. It's America. We're a great country. We will always be great. We're always worth fighting for. And I think that message will resonate to the end of time. And the last video that we'll show happened to be his last show in 2020. And Rush, he did a lot of specials. So like Thanksgiving, he would have a Thanksgiving special. Christmas, he would have a Christmas special. And I remember I was in the car when I listened to this show. I didn't get to hear the whole thing, but I remember thinking to myself, listening to him, that I think at this point he knew or questioned whether he would make it back, because Rush and many of these commentators after Christmas, they would take a couple of weeks off. And you could see, it's amazing for anybody who knows Rush and knows him well. I said amazing, but really sad to see what he looked like a year ago to this last show, and how cancer really was taking its toll, you know, on his body, which many people call that out. But they also say that even though it took a toll on his body, it did not take a toll on his brain. Because he was just as sharp on his very, very last show. He was just as sharp as he was, say, back in 1990. This guy, his message was never this. It was always the same. He never deviated. You knew. I just watched the show, matter of fact, Sean, it was Phil Donahue, an old time talk show guy on TV. You remember Phil Donahue? I
don't know who he is, but I've heard him.
Yeah. Phil Donahue obviously is a liberal. I didn't know that, nor do you really care when you're watching TV shows who's a liberal and who's a conservative. You're there for the entertainment value. But Rush was steadfast. He was exactly, I mean, if you closed your eyes, because Rush looked a lot different then, no difference. You knew who you were listening to. You knew where he stood and his values. And that was always Rush, no matter what anybody said about him. And I give him credit for that. And here, we'll leave it with this before we show the video. As someone who was taught a lot by listening to his show, he thanked us, you know, the listeners, and I'm thanking him. I thank you, Rush Limbaugh. And I know for a fact, Rush, that no matter where you are, I know where you are, you're up there in the big sky, and I'm sure that you're holding a show for everybody who is up there, and I can't wait to get back and listen to you again. Sean, let's play that last clip.
So I hope you all have a great Christmas, a great New Year. And I hope that the things that are in store for all of us in the coming year are certainly better than what we have endured in 2020. I don't know too many people have enjoyed 2020. Probably some sickos out there who have, but 2021 has to be better. We're going to try to make it that way here at the EIB Network. Again, folks, thank you so much. I wish there were a way to say it other than thank you. You're just the best. My family is just the best.
That was a presentation of the Nuts and Bolts Show.
Thanks for watching, guys. The Nuts and Bolts Show is on YouTube at The Nuts and Bolts Show, Twitter at The Nuts B, Facebook at The Nuts and Bolts, and you can listen to us on Spotify at The Nuts and Bolts Show. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.